Welcome to the Behind the Wheel podcast, episode 9, part 1. I'm Bill Mell, and I'm here with
Mike Schweitzer.
And we're talking to Lightning Sprint drivers across the country. Lightning Sprint, what's a Lightning Sprint car, Mike?
So Lightning Sprint is a midget type chassis, open wheel. We run with wings, but it's a 1200 class CC max. A lot of the guys run a 1000 cc motor in their cars, which are, nowadays they're a pretty high revving motor. And some of the guys still run a lot of the older stuff and, 06s and 08s. And some guys run like a 2000, it's just, whatever you prefer. So on today's show, we've got two very good drivers to talk to. The first one is going to be Dan Hillberg.
Nice.
Yep. And then the second one is going to be Connor Speir. And Connor is with the California Lightning Sprints.
And you've known Dan for a while. Have you ever met Connor?
Yes. Yeah, I know both of them.
Both of them. Nice.
Yep.
Nice. And so we were talking about motors on the way here, Mike.
Yeah.
And your motor, what motor are you running in the car? You 41?
Oh man, it's a dinosaur. It's a Kawasaki ZX12 on methanol. It's a 2000 years, so I mean it's old enough. If it was a human, it'd be old enough to sit at the bar and drink.
Sit at the bar and drink. That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. What do you think its drink of choice would be?
Anything alcohol.
Probably
I know that.
vodka or something like that, right? Vodka for a good spin. There he is right there.
Okay.
So our first call today is with Dan Hillberg. Dan, you there?
Yes, sir, I am.
Awesome. Hey, thanks for calling in today, if you will. Dan, you're calling us. Where are you calling from?
Mustang, Oklahoma.
Oh boy.
Mustang, Oklahoma.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
So, Dan, just to kind of give you a little background on what we're doing. So, Bill is a real estate agent here in town. He's a real estate broker, and he's one of the sponsors on our 41 car. He's been with us for numerous years. Worked with him in the oil and gas industry before he started his career in the real estate business. And so he had this studio that him and his son were doing some podcasts, kind of like how kids are growing up today versus yesteryear. And we got the opportunity to come in and sit and do a few of these with him. And so we kind of decided, hey, let's try to do some on the Lightning Sprints, and we'll see how they work out. And if there's an interest in it, we'll continue, and if not, we'll find something else to do. But I thank Bill all the time for the opportunity to do this, because without this studio, I mean, this is an awesome studio, but without it, man, we'd be in trouble.
And I am just grateful for the opportunity to be able to be a part of this, if you will. So Dan, how old are you?
I hate to answer the question because when I look in the mirror every day and know I'm older, I'll be 62 in January.
62. Wow. So
Yep.
we've so a little bit. I'm 50, and I just turned 50. And Mike, you're.
Oh, I'm gonna be 61 here in a few more weeks. Yeah.
61. So 62 doesn't scare me, Dan. I mean, I'm closer to 62 than I am to 42. So
Yeah.
not a big deal. I
hate
think.
to say-
Go ahead.
I just I hate to say it, but I always figure age is kind of a number, and I kind of go with how old I feel and how old I act. And when you get me around a race car, I turn into a little kid again. And
Yeah.
even racing them, I think it shows that you wouldn't think I was as old as I was when I get behind the wheel.
Right.
Oh yeah, I know that. I know better than that. Yep, that's for sure.
I think too, it's how you feel, like you were saying. You know what I mean? If you feel, I remember I used to think 30 was old, and then 40 was old, and 50. I'm thinking like my father-in-law is in his 70s, and I'm like, man, he still gets around good, and I'm like, I don't know what that old age is anymore. You know what I mean? So I'm agreeing with you. It's just about a number, and how old do you feel?
Yep.
So, Dan, you once lived in California. You said you're living in Mustang, Oklahoma now?
I am. about 3 years ago, I decided that it was time to part ways with California.
Amen.
Looking closer and closer to retirement, and knowing that California, Southern California especially, is very expensive to retire, I thought that by moving out of state and finding a location was friendly to the racers and a good political climate, that maybe it was a good place for me to go. And my wife and I spent about 5 years looking. And ultimately, when we happened upon Oklahoma, it was to meet some friends at a 4th of July party. And we ended up coming down to Oklahoma City and checking it out and meeting with a realtor. And by the time we left the trip, we'd made an offer on a house. So even though we had looked at, I'm going to say 10 different states over the time, when this hit, it was like we just knew this was where we wanted to be.
How's the weather over there, Dan?
Oh, well, this week it's horrible. This last month has been really hot. We've had temperatures. I think we had 20 days up over 100 degrees, and with the humidity, it's just made it pretty miserable. Kept me inside the house for the most part this month.
Yeah, they ain't no kidding. I think we're on day 54 this year. We've had 54 days of over 100.
Yeah,
and
I just saw like the news like last night or whatever. You know, we can't always follow the news, but one of the three initials that I don't normally watch was reporting like floods in Mississippi, and I was like, what? You know, when you hear that in California, you're like, well, the whole East Coast must be underwater now.
Yeah, well, we could use it here.
Think so? Yeah, we actually watch the news very very seldom, but we'll watch it in the morning, and most of the time it's just because it'll tell you the weather and the traffic, and not that we drive anywhere, but we saw the floods in Arizona, in Las Vegas. We saw them in the East Coast, and it was like, we've got a pond out back, about a 1 acre pond, and there's probably about, I don't know, less than a half acre of water left in that thing. It's drying up. We really could use some rain because I hate to lose the catfish.
Wow. Yeah, it's like you kind of wake up in the morning all good and refreshed, and you're like, good sleep. And you got to turn on something just to screw that all up, if you will. So you turn on the news.
Or walk outside,
right.
In our case. Yeah, we're looking to be at like 111 next Monday. So
I saw that they had canceled the racing this weekend at Bakersfield due to the heat, and which is surprising because I've raced up there when it's been 105, and we all knew it was miserable. But when they said they're canceling it, it's like, yeah, it's serious if Scott's canceling races.
Yeah, we were supposed to go run with help AJ this weekend with the sprint car, but we kind of got some other things to do now. We found out later this afternoon that we're going to be doing a motor change, so we waited till the hottest weekend of the year to do that. So I'm not real happy with that, but oh well. Yeah. Hey Dan.
All that time.
Hey, also, if you have any questions of us, man, please feel free to ask. We've just started doing these. This is number 9, so we're just trying to kind of get in a groove. And but if there's anything that you have any questions, please feel free to ask.
No, absolutely. I mean, I was very honored when you gave me a call and asked me if this is something I'd be interested in participating in. I think that what you guys are doing is great. And anything we can do to promote Lightning Sprint racing is great, because it's I found over the years it's probably the best bang for the buck, and it's a lot of fun. Really enjoyed it over the years, and so for you guys to come out and do something like this, I think is great. So thank you.
Yeah, we're trying
for sure. Yeah, like to be a part of, if you will. Dan, what do you do for a living?
Well, I work for a consulting company, and we do a lot of the background work for T-Mobile in Southern California. I'm still working in the Southern California hours, so my hours are kind of messed up out here. I work 10 to 7 in Oklahoma time. But we do a lot of the permitting and the zoning and leasing for T-Mobile, and we do all the modifications and construction management on their towers.
Oh, wow. So where at Orange County did you live?
I lived in Placentia, which is a little town right by Yorba Linda or Fullerton.
Yeah, I know it well.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah, when I say that, people look at me like, where? So I always kind of preface that, it's close to the Yorba Linda area. And I mean, literally, it was a block to the east was Yorba Linda, a block to the west was Fullerton, and a block or 2 blocks to the south was Anaheim. So we were kind of in a small little section.
Wow.
Nice little town.
And we all know Anaheim houses the Disney Society, if you will.
And the Angels.
And the Angels, yes. And so.
Yeah, don't forget the Angels. Still love the Angels. Try to watch them when I can back here. This is more of a Dodger town, but.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, I know. I still love my Angels.
Wow. How's it going back there in Oklahoma? Are you enjoying the life back there? Or?
Oh, you know what? It's everything I thought it would be and more. It's we live in a small town of Mustang, about 25,000 people, and yet we're only about 25 minutes from downtown Oklahoma City. So we've got the country feel to it, but I'm only 2.5 miles from a Starbucks or a Walmart, so that tells you I'm not far out of town. And the traffic doesn't really exist back here. I kind of compare it to Orange County. Living out in Orange County, the population is about 3.8 million people.
Yeah.
The whole state of Oklahoma is 3.8 million people. So
yeah,
we've got it split out so far that traffic really isn't bad. The people are great. People don't. It's funny when you're going down the road and you see a construction site and you're going to lose the lane. And in California, everybody runs up to the last second and tries to dart in.
Yeah.
Out here, a half mile back and everybody's already in the lane. You very seldom see anybody run up to the front of the line, and it's just people are just nicer back here. So
the other thing
I
went back there to show my son Oklahoma OKC. We were going to look at the college for him to go there. Unfortunately, it was too expensive for him to be out of state student there, but also he decided after 1 year that he didn't want to go to college. And I'm like, dude, you just saved me $40,000. It was kind of like the Toyota of Orange commercial. What will you do with all the money you save? And I was like, awesome. But I remember we went to go see some family in Kansas. In Kansas, they had the signs on the freeway that said, if you're slower, don't come in this lane, or something like that. It's against the law to be in this lane if someone comes up on you and is faster, or something along those lines.
Wow. Well, we need a bunch of those signs.
You're absolutely right. It's against the law to camp out in the fast lane. You're supposed to use it to pass and then get back in line.
Yeah.
And you don't see people camping out in the fast lane and holding traffic up. And even the slow lane, clicks along pretty good. But again, without the traffic, it doesn't take long to get to where you want to be. If it's 60 miles away, it's 55-minute drive time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one. So being back in Oklahoma now, what are you doing besides racing? What are you doing for to stay busy and keep yourself going?
Well, I've kind of slowed down a little bit in regards to the racing. Most of the racing for the Lightning Sprints is over in Missouri, and that's between 4 and 6 hour drive time. So it's kind of taken some of the wind out of my sails. I've gone ahead and we hit the practice sessions at the local tracks when we can. This year we hit a couple of them, and other than the racing, I do a little fishing in the pond. We've got some 3 to 5 pound catfish out there, and they put a pretty good fight. And the wife and I will spend some time down the road. We have lakes all around us. Within an hour's drive, I probably have 6 lakes. And we'll go down and hang out in the lake during the day and just float around and just relax and try to enjoy kind of a slower lifestyle.
Wow. Not going crazy out of your mind with Orange County traffic, 45 minutes to go to 7-Eleven to get you a cup of ice or Slurpee or whatever. That is
true story there.
Pardon me?
Yeah, that was a true story there. My office was 17 miles away, and it would take me an hour and a half each way. So I was spending 3 hours a day driving to work, and for a total of 34 miles. And that's what ultimately the one day I woke up and said, I'm just done with the drive. We just didn't know coming back here how it was going to work with my job. They weren't real crazy about people working remote.
Yeah.
And about 3 months later, COVID hit, and everybody worked remote. And everything played into my cards. But So that worked out. But besides working at home, we've got a couple acres back here, so there's always maintenance on it. Believe it or not, it sounds kind of silly, but I enjoy hopping on a lawnmower and, cutting the yard down. It takes a couple, 2-3 hours to get her done. And the boring retired life. How's that? That's where I'm at right now.
There you go. Don't say that too loud, though.
I'm sorry?
Don't say that too loud. We don't want the cell phone company to hear that you think you're retired already.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been doing it. I've been doing cell work for about 33 years now, and so when that word retirement comes out of my mouth, everybody stops and looks at me kind of funny, like, you can't do that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you're right. I do have to kind of keep that quiet.
Yeah.
I double dare you. Yeah. So Dan, are you still racing? So you are still doing a little bit of racing. Are you still racing that number 10?
Well, that's a great question. I ran 10 for a number of years, and my son, he's living back this way, not too far from us, and he started wanting to race again. So I put him in the 10 car, and I've got two cars back here. I've got a Triple X, which is a fairly new car, and I have a 2002 TCR that if you look at it side by side next to the Triple X, you couldn't tell the difference.
Really?
I mean, the torsion arms are Triple X on it. Everything about it looks identical, except it's about 20 pounds lighter just for the chassis. So I'm running it, and when I first started racing, I raced for my dad and ran midgets, and it was a yellow 17 car. And so before my dad passed, I painted the car yellow and put the 17 on it for him. And so I'm actually running the 17 car right now.
Wow. So 17 for your dad, right?
Yes, sir.
And tell me about number 10. What's number 10 about?
Well, 10, it was the first year I hit the top 10 for California Lightning Sprints. It was, I believe, 2010. And it was the first time I hit in the top 10 since 1981 when I ran the USRC Midget. And I won the championship for the B mains back then, which back then it was kind of a big thing. We ran all over the place. There were 50 cars showing up every week. And back then it was, to get myself into the top 10 was great. And it was the first time I cracked the top 10 for the next 30 years. And so I said, you know what? I'm going to put that on the car. And I've kept it ever since. And I'll probably go back to 10 before long and tell my son he's going to have to get his own number.
Yeah, pass on the 17. So in the TCR and the Triple X, what motors you got in those things?
We're actually running the ZX12s, the 1200 cc motors. People are kind of going away from them because they're about a 15 to 20 year old motor. But to be quite honest, the torque, the horsepower, and the reliability of these motors, I say that now, there's a long story behind that one, is usually very high. They're a little heavier motor, and I just feel that they last longer. So I went that route after a number of years trying some of the other motors. And I've driven a few other people's cars with the 1,000 cc motors in it, and I really prefer the 1200. Yeah, it's been a great process for me, adapting to that car and that motor, and we've been pretty successful with it.
Yeah, Bill's sitting over here laughing at me because he knows that's what we run too, running that 1200. So he's sitting over here knowing that I got to do a motor change, but ours was kind of I don't know. We had trouble, so we're going to pull it apart and look at it. I don't want to take a chance in damaging that thing at all, so better to pull it out and get it out of there and look at it, before we have something catastrophic happen.
Catastrophic, yes, for sure. Hey, Dan, how did you get started racing?
Well, Dad was involved in racing. When I was born, there was a race car in the garage. Dad had gotten himself a Curtis Craft with a Ford 60 in it back in the early 50s, and it was in the garage, and I grew up with that around. So as I got closer to age, it was kind of a, hey, Dad, I really want to go that route. And, there was obviously some pushback. Mom didn't want me in a race car, and So yeah, it was kind of a push, but ultimately the first start I ever had in a race car was our neighbors at the time. We lived in Fountain Valley, and 2 doors down was Jack, and Jack Johnson ran off-road cars at Ascot Park. And I was down there helping him and playing around and stuff. And one day he came up and says, "Hey, you want to run?" I was 15 years old.
Wow.
And yeah, and it was like, well, sure. And he said, he handed me the application to fill out, and nothing was online back then. That didn't even exist.
Right.
So he handed me the paperwork, looked at it, and it said, "Jack, I got to have a driver's license." And he says, "I'll take care of that." So we get out to the track, and the next thing you know, they're handing me my membership card and telling me I'm all ready to go. And I looked at Jack, and he just started laughing. He just made up some number in his head, threw it down on there, and they let me race.
Nice.
So first race was when I was 15 years old at Ascot Park on a closed course off-road race. And actually, of all things, I ran second, and I damn near won it. I came across the start-finish line half a car length back.
Wow.
So starting in the back row, moved all the way up. After that, I ran with Jack for a few years. But ultimately, still wanted to get to the open wheel cars. And so I kind of went after Dad and said, "Look, I still want to do this." And so in 1981, I raced hot lapping cars throughout the next several years, from 77 to 81. And then finally in 81, started racing midgets.
Nice. I thought you were going to say maybe you had your Malibu Grand Prix license, because I remember there used to be one right there off of the 405 in Fountain Valley.
You're absolutely right. In fact, we only lived about a mile from that track. I'll tell you straight up, yeah, I've got a few laps under my belt there. But,
how did you get your start in lightning sprints, Dan? What was the draw to get you into those that 1200 class?
Well, I'll tell you, in about 98, I started driving sprint cars, SCRA, and over the several years, there was a number of times where the lightning sprints would come out and run with us at Paris Auto Speedway. The one night I got hurt in about 06 and had to sit out for a few years. As I healed up, I said, I'm not done racing, but I'm not getting into a sprint car again. I'm just not going to do that. So I said, you know what? Gary Dent's got a couple of these lightning sprints, and Toby Sampson had them over his house. So I went and looked at them and decided, I'm not done racing, but I'm not going sprint car racing. And running USAC midgets meant a lot of travel. So I decided to try the CLS, and I've never regretted that. To be quite honest, it's the most fun I've had in racing over the years.
Nice. So, you've had some other racing, if you will. What's been your favorite?
Honestly, I think that the California Lightning Sprints offer so much because the speed of the cars, people don't realize how fast these cars really are. They don't necessarily look fast when you see them going on a half mile with sprint cars, but when you look at the track times, and we're getting through the corners so much faster that we're only a second and a half off at Paris. But when you get to places like Santa Maria or Bakersfield or even Ventura, we're faster than a 410 sprint car. So they're very fast, absolutely, and they're affordable. If any racing's affordable, I mean, let's face it, everything's expensive when you go racing. But compared to a midget or a sprint car, the cost of a lightning sprint is affordable. It makes it more possible for others, for a number of people to be on the top echelon. You've got cars that are all very similar, and as their driving abilities develop, you have a lot more good racers, and there's not that separation between the haves and have-nots.
Right.
And so that's kind of why I like to see, the lightning sprints, because when I ran a sprint car, I had a ton of money into that thing, but when I started comparing my checkbook against some of these other guys, what these guys were spending at the beer tab, the bar tab, on one night was my racing budget. So it was,
right.
It was a lot better for me to go racing and with the CLS, and we were able to run for the title a number of times. Never quite got there, but you can afford to do it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of why I liked it, and why I think it was probably the most fun, because you can run up front and run with the best, affordably.
Nice. Dan, you got a favorite track, maybe from back in the day or even here recently?
I do.
What is it?
No, I do, and I know y'all are probably thinking I'm partial because of the show, but Bakersfield has been my favorite forever. When I ran a midget back in the 80s, the track we ran on is the back straightaway is where we hit, and the track was that much narrower, and I had a blast up there then. And then when they opened this thing up and got some banking to it, and Scott's got that track figured out, if you go out there and qualify and you just about don't lift going around, to me, I've always done really well there. Had some great memories there, and so I got to tell you, Bakersfield Speedway.
So, do you miss racing in California at all?
I do. I absolutely do. I still stay in touch with a number of the racers out in California, and I continually think that, well, I'm going to pack up and go visit Mom, and when I do, I think I'm going to bring the race car out and kind of time it for a race, because I miss the camaraderie. The club out here is a good club, but it's not like the CLS. Maybe it's because I was around these guys the whole time, but it was more of a family out there. California Lightning Sprints. I've watched a lot of these kids growing up. Some of the old guys, like Bobby McNovich is another one. He's only a few years younger than I am, but we've raced together for 20 years. And so when you meet these people and you're out at the racetrack with these people, it's just extended family.
Yeah.
So I absolutely miss California.
So on that note, is there one? Probably I'm going to say probably Bobby, since you brought him up. But is there one more lightning spent driver that you'd like to race against more than another? Or?
There's a couple of them. Stephen Lamone's one that he and I battled for a title. He actually beat me out the last weekend of the year. Bobby McNovich is another one. Love to race with Bobby, always clean. Jarrett Kramer's another one that he's as clean as it gets and fast. And, you always love to stay in fast company. And these are the guys I'd like to race with.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good.
Well, our one thing that this is something that when I talk to a lot of these drivers that we've been talking to, a lot of them I have experiences with them, or some of the ones I talk to, kind of rattles my memory a little bit. But we all have that one race or experience at the track that we'll never forget. Tell me a little bit about yours, Dan.
Oh, and it was Bakersfield Speedway. I'm not going to mention the driver's name.
Uh-oh.
No, it's good and it's bad. It was we started the feature, and I started sixth, and I worked myself up to fourth, and I went to pass the third place car, and we caught a lapper. And he had committed to the top side, and I dropped down the bob, and at the last minute, he turned left, dropped down on top of me. How he didn't hit the guy, the lapper we were getting to, he just about clocked him, and I had no place to go but lock it up. So I hit the binders, and I parked, and he drove off, and I'm like, oh, you've got to be kidding me. So I had to go back to the feature. There were probably 18 cars still running at that point. And Bobby McNovich was leading this thing. And the reason I know that is because when the green came out, I'm coming off a 2, and these guys are coming off a 4, and I'm going, oh, great. These guys got a great run on me. I got to get out of here. And I will admit I was a little heated over the situation. So I decided to put the gas down and not lift. And I literally didn't lift for about 16 laps. And I went high, I went low, I passed them everywhere. I went between people. It didn't matter where it was. I was going forward, and I wasn't going to take my foot off the gas. And I come off of turn 4, and I look down about the starter stand, and there's the third place car, the guy that took me out. Wow. And I said, oh boy, this is going to be interesting. What am I going to do when I get to it?
Yep. Oh,
you never know. I mean, sometimes in the heat of the moment, you might decide to get even, or the other way of getting even is just driving by them so fast that they just like, what the heck just happened? Never got to find out. As I got within about 4 car lengths of it, maybe 5 car lengths, I blew the motor.
Wow.
No.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, and I was driving for somebody else at the time, and I felt really bad about it. But after the race, Paul Benedetti came up to me. I was driving for Paul, and he just looked at me with that smile and said, wow. He said, I was sitting up in the stands with my friend, and when we saw this, he goes, well, this will be interesting. And Paul just looked at him and says, you have no idea. He says, put on a show. And it was definitely fun to watch. From my angle, it was more of a fire in the eye. I was going after him, but end results turned out the way they did. And never know. We'll never know what happened.
Wow. Wow.
What would have happened?
Well, kind of coming to an end here. You know, we've been trying to keep these kind of short so it doesn't take up a lot of everybody's time calling in. But this is kind of where we give you a chance to thank anybody, or, you know, anybody that's helped you out over your career, or any sponsors you have. Give us a rundown.
Sure. You know, Toby Sampson, Okie Race Cars, couldn't have done it without him. Been around him for 22 years now, 23 years. And, you know, he and I, in fact, he just works down the street from me now. And we still kind of get together. Clark Drake Race Cars, another guy that helped me out early in the years, and just a wealth of information. Can't forget to thank the wife. I mean, the fact that she let me do this as long as I have, you know, nice. I don't know. She's a saint. That's all I can say. You know, I've got brothers and sisters that have all been real supportive of this as well, and yeah, don't want to leave them out as well. But yeah, that's kind of where we're at with the help and support we've had over the years, and like I said, couldn't have done it without them.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Well, Dan, hey, thanks you. I thanks you, and Mike thanks you for taking the time to call in today, and sharing your story, your experience for these California Lightning sprints, and you know your current situation. I mean, awesome. I am you know, hoping that for you that you're able to get out there and get a little bit more racing in. Sounds like it's not quite time yet, but you haven't, you know what I mean? So I'm excited for you, maybe that you're going to get your son going, and that's going to, you know, spark it a little bit more for you, if you will.
Yep.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's one thing, Bill, I will say is my wife, she was a teacher for years and she retired. And so she kind of got into writing children's books, and she's actually working on a children's book now that is kind of a Cinderella story, but all about race cars.
Oh, man. Awesome.
And we're using the Lightning Sprints as kind of the model. Of course, it's going to be a limited, you know, sales opportunity. I mean, not everybody's into the open wheel racing, but she's got one coming that, yeah, I think it'll be a lot of fun. And so with her doing that, we're going to take, I've got a spiked midget that we've converted into a Lightning Sprint, and we're going to paint it up to match the character in the book. And we'll be out at racetracks promoting the book. We'll be out there with the race car, you know, and the books, trying to sell these things, or at least help, you know, the literacy, you know, yeah. Kids and reading these days. People kind of, I hate to say it, they stick their nose in the phone and they're not necessarily reading and communicating the way they should. We like to help promote that by, you know, with the wife's books and everything. And so we're going to put the car together, making it look like the character's car. And nice. While we're out there, she'll be in the grandstand selling these things. I'm probably going to be in the pits race.
Well, put my name on one of those books. I want one.
Mine too. We'll be looking for a copy for us as well.
Absolutely. The illustrator's just about finished. They'll probably be ready for publication in about 30 days, and I'll make sure that we get you both a signed copy.
All right. Thanks.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Well, thank you again, Dan. We look forward to maybe speaking with you in the future, too, telling us a little bit more about this book, and maybe speaking with your wife as well.
No, that would be great. I thank you guys for the opportunity. I've been around racing all my life. You know, I've done a few of these for some of the other companies. And the conversation with you guys is great. It worked very nicely, and I'm tickled to be a part of your program.
Awesome. Thank you, Dan.
Yeah,
Have a
thank
good
you.
evening.
Thank you, Dan.
Gentlemen, thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye now.
Wow, Mike.
Yeah.
So Mustang, Oklahoma,
Yeah.
Orange County. So so I moved here in '87, right? From being at a place, a little bit of trouble or whatever, you know what I mean. But my early years were in Orange County, if you will. So everything he's talking about, I know exactly where Placentia is. I've been to some of the old punk rock shows in Placentia, the Placentia Skateway, and man, he used to raise hell all over Orange County back in the day. So it's been so when I hear about somebody from Orange County who calls it Orange County and not L.A., because a lot of folks that live up here, maybe done a lifetime in Bakersfield, they say, well, I'm going to L.A. I'm like, where are you going? They're like, going to Santa Ana. I was like, Santa Ana's not L.A. That's Orange County, and so.
Well, that guy is me, because once I get over the grapevine,
Right.
L.A.
No. Michael. No, it's not. So, yeah, there was a whole, because they had the Orange Curtain. So the Orange Curtain was the curtain between L.A. and Orange County, because L.A. was L.A. and Orange County was not L.A. And there was a difference in the old music scene that was, there as well. And so it was just night and day.
Well, it's been a little bit of a lot of memories for you then, because a lot of these guys have history in what I call L.A. with you.
Right. No, I definitely had Fountain Valley right there next to Huntington Beach. My aunt had passed away actually in the Fountain Valley Hospital. She had contracted HIV from the 80s. She was had a tubal pregnancy or whatever. It had to take a blood transfusion, and in the late 80s, they, the blood testing and medical stuff that it is today wasn't what it is there, and she ended up contracting AIDS and succumbed to it. In like 1990 from just a blood transfusion. It was kind of crazy,
Wow.
Married and so it was, So my dad used to work at the Mile Square Golf Course, which is right there in Fountain Valley as well. And it's a mile by a mile by a mile by a mile.
Oh, really?
There's
wow.
a golf course there, a park, and it's, they like windsurfing cars or whatever, out there. And it's,
Man, I can tell I need to get you into the pits down there a little bit more, because there's a lot of guys from down there in that area.
Yeah, for sure.
We need to get you down there.
Look forward to meeting some of these people we're talking about here. So we're just kind of welcoming back again. Once again, we're on episode 9, Mike. This is going so fast. Part 2 here, Behind the Wheel podcast with me, Bill Mel, from Bill Mel and Associates Services, and also have Mike Schweitzer here, and the studios here started it about a year or two ago, and with the hopes and aspirations to do a podcast. Started one, and it didn't kind of go as clearly as it was. My son, who ended up taking another job, if you will, and decided to go a different way, if you will. He decided to go into law enforcement, and so here we are. I'm like, well, I was talking with you, Mike, about hey, let's just do it. Maybe we do a podcast. Maybe come in and we talk about oil and
no way, not right now, not in this time. I mean, it's getting a little better. Prices are coming down, but that's all. That's a big mess. I mean,
so it
that's
is
a mess.
Totally. So our first caller is Dan Hillberg, and here we are with our second caller.
Yeah, our second caller is Connor Speir, driver of the number 57 California Lightning Sprint.
Connor, you here? Are you on the line?
Yeah. Hey guys, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good, man.
Good. How are you?
Good. Awesome.
Hey, thanks for calling in, and man, we really appreciate it. And we're kind of new to this, so we're trying to kind of kick things over, off, and we're kind of seeing how this rolls. And if it turns out pretty good, we'll keep doing them. But just a little background. I know I've told all the callers this, but Bill has been a longtime friend, a coworker in the oil and gas industry, and he's now a real estate broker here in Bakersfield, and he's one of the sponsors on the 41 car and owner of Bill Mellon Associates Real Estate Services here in Bakersfield. So we just been calling and talking to Lightning Sprint drivers every Wednesday. We do about a half hour with each one, and tonight we've got you.
Yeah, thank you.
Connor Speir. So every time I hear the name Connor, I got a buddy of mine has a son named Connor, but I always think of like Conor McGregor from the UFC. Connor, I got you there. Connor, what are you going to do to him next?
Yeah. Armbar. Yeah.
Connor, how old are you?
I'm 15.
15. Did you get your parents' permission to call in before you called?
Yeah.
Nice. And where do you live? Where are you from, Connor?
I live in Fillmore, California.
Fillmore? Holy
Yeah,
smokes.
right down the street.
Totally down the street. So Fillmore, for some of you folks that don't know, is on the backside of, we could say like Magic Mountain, if you will, kind of across. So you jump over the hill, you go to Piru Lake, and then you jump over that hill right into Fillmore, right?
Yep.
There it is. There it is. And then the next, I guess the next biggest area that people would know would be Ventura, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ventura, Oxnard. So, man, are you in school there?
Yeah, I go to Fillmore High School.
Fillmore High School. Nice. And that doesn't mean like Phil More or Phil Less, right? That's the name of the town, Fillmore.
Yeah.
Oh man, you're gonna send him off tomorrow with all kinds of bad jokes for them guys at school.
I'm sure
they're gonna be hating him.
That's not the first time you've heard that.
Yeah.
Right, Connor?
Yeah.
What grade are you in?
I'm in 10th grade. I'm a sophomore.
Holy smokes.
Nice.
10th grade sophomore, 15 years old. Connor, you're probably our youngest caller that we've ever talked to so far.
He is.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, he is. You've got the record.
Pardon me?
I hope I stay the youngest. That'd be a record right there.
There it is.
Yeah. Well, we'll try to keep that in mind as we schedule these other drivers. We'll try to keep you out in front, or at least in the top three anyway.
So, Connor, so you're in school there, 10th grade. I remember I moved to Bakersfield when I was in 10th grade from Orange County, if you will. You got any other hobbies that you enjoy doing over there in Fillmore?
Not really at Fillmore. I mean, I play a lot of iRacing at home. That's kind of a hobby. I play a little too much of that, but I wakeboard and stuff out of Arizona. That's fun. I want to learn how to wake surf now too. So.
Oh, nice. Where in Arizona? Like,
right in Parker.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I've been
on the river right there.
I've been to Parker before. That's a nice little hot area. I figured like being over in Fillmore, you'd be like part of the national avocado tossing team or something like that.
Yeah. Well, I've been, my wife got me set up with the iRacing, so I've been practicing a little bit, and I'll have to hunt you guys down, but just let me tell you, I'm mayhem. I'm that driver that's all over the place, man. I mean, it's been kind of rough on me, but I'm trying to learn it, So it's just going to take me a little bit of time to kind of catch up to you young guys. When you get out of school, what would you like to do to make a living?
I'm trying to run my grandpa's business,
flooring
business.
There you go.
Yeah, that's the plan.
So flooring like ceramic tile or what is it?
He does hardwood floor.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that is a good profession.
So are you doing anything with them now? Or you got a side job with them now learning it?
Yeah, I go out and help out at the shop and do that when I can.
Nice.
Awesome. So, Connor, I want to say Connor, like, Connor.
You got that McGregor thing going on.
So, Connor, man, it looks like we got you down here with running the number 57 car. Is that right?
Yeah.
What's with the number 57?
well, that's the year my grandpa was born, and he's raced all kinds of stuff. He's won Pikes Peak with that number, and just kind of has a good amount of value to it.
Nice. Yeah, Pikes Peak. That's kind of Unser's Mountain there. That's I used to watch a lot of that stuff back in the day. I don't so much anymore. Haven't watched it in years and years, but used to kind of stay up on top of that. That's a pretty wicked course right there.
Yeah, for sure.
Connor, how old's your grandpa?
65.
Our last caller was 62. That is
Dan Hillberg.
kind of putting things in perspective, if you will.
Yeah.
57.
Yeah,
wow.
he made me feel young. Only by a year, but still a little over a year. I'll take it. You know, you got to take what you can get, you know.
It just was reminding me of like the Blink-182 song. What's your age again?
Yeah.
Right?
50.
Yeah.
Wow. So, Connor, what motor and chassis are you running?
We're running a Henchcraft chassis and ZX12.
Nice. And have you been in any other cars or motors other than that, or
No, that's it. That's the only thing I've done.
not yet? What do you think about that?
Yeah, it's fun. It's a lot of fun for sure.
Yeah, speed's good. I mean, what's your favorite thing about the racing?
I mean, sometimes it's super tight, then sometimes where it's a little bit wider, and I mean, just different every time. It's fun.
Right.
I like to do it.
And so, how is that? Is adrenaline kind of get you just?
Yeah.
Oh,
Right.
yeah. Yeah, it gets me that, and I'm just standing at the fence.
Right.
You know? Yeah, I've only turned a few laps in a car. There's a reason for that, and but I always knew that if I tore it up, I was gonna be fixing it and paying for it. So I mean, I never was really hard on the throttle, you know, just enough to go around the track a few times. And I went and did Corey Cruiseman school one time, probably about 7-8 years ago, and that was a lot of fun. But yeah, that's highly recommended.
Nice.
So what year is that Hinchcraft you got?
I think it's in 11, I think.
Oh, nice. Yeah, ours is a 07.
Not too sure, but
Yeah, we're a little older. We're a little bit older than that, but I got that same motor. I'm not going to go away from that setup either. I really enjoy it. I like it.
yeah.
Have there been any other types of racing that you've done, Connor?
No, I haven't done anything else. It's my first type of racing that I've done. I just kind of got thrown into it, and
Nice. No BMX or nothing like that? I figured that would be the kind
sorry,
of...
what'd you say?
No, not BMX or anything like that, no?
No, I haven't done anything else.
Oh, wow.
Well, what attracted you to the lightning sprints? How did you end up where you are?
Not really sure, to be honest. Originally, we went to the track. We figured we wanted to do something, and we were going to buy a dwarf car, I guess. But then Bruce Douglas found out and told my grandpa to come to the shop. But then we ended up with his car, and now we're racing that one. So it's been fun.
That's a nice car, real nice car. That's a beautiful looking Hinchcraft for sure.
That's it. Wow. What about the future? Connor, are you looking... What are you excited about for the future as far as racing goes?
Eventually, I want to jump in a sprint car for sure.
There you go.
That's, yeah.
And Showable is definitely on the bucket list. I don't know when that's going to happen, but that's on the bucket list for sure.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun. We've done that. We took a car back 2 years and ran back there, and then probably one of the stupidest things I did is on a whim. Me and the wife hopped on a plane and went back there with no tickets and scalped them. And she sat in the middle of turns 3 and 4 in great seats, and I got kicked out of every seat I sat down in. You know? Yeah, so highly recommended to get tickets before you go back there. But actually, it's kind of funny. So Dan Hillberg and Toby took care of me back there. They hooked me up with the bottom row boozers, and that group really took good care of me. For sure.
Nice.
You know? Yeah.
So, we're working on the word "so" because we have a lot of "so's" that we, that we always we have the list, questions that we want to ask here, and then you get a list of questions that we, potentially might ask. And so we kind of think ahead sometimes, like, well, so here we go. And,
Yeah, we try to capitalize on our mistakes. So we make them quite often, though. Going back to the racing.
Yeah.
Before a race, Saturday night race coming up, you got any pre-race rituals that you do? Food you eat, places you stop, things you do to the car the night before, or
music you listen to?
Yeah, music or anything like that?
Well, the only thing I really think of is my mom. Every night before a race, my mom makes some really good spaghetti.
There you go.
Nice.
So, yeah, that's what we do every night before the race.
Nice. Yeah, heck yeah.
What do you do to get your head right in that racing thing there, Connor?
I just kind of chill in the chair there, tune everyone out, and just kind of just think.
Yeah. There's a lot of that going on. I mean, man, when you get to the track, it's always a lot of, man, did I do this? Did I do that? I need to do this. I need to do that. I need to look at the track.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot that goes on.
Yeah, that laser focus. I think sometimes with, in the world we live in today, especially, you being, 15 years old, as young as you are, there'd be a lot of distractions, if you will. So the fact that you're able to sit in the trailer and kind of focus and take your mind off of everything in the world, if you will, except for what you're about to do is an awesome thing, especially for someone your age,
Yeah. Heck yeah. Yeah, it's a tough sport, man. It really is. I mean, a lot of people, they sit in the grandstands, they don't see what goes on, behind the scenes. If you're having trouble with your setup or, things like that, I mean, we've all been there, and it's just, you try to eliminate all the possibilities of failure, to put on a good show and make a run toward the front. But it's not as easy as most people think,
What's been your biggest hindrance or something that's kind of came up for you as far as racing goes, Connor?
What do you mean? Like kind of like problems almost?
Yeah. What issues have you had? Like either the car or the track or?
Well, the first night out we had the car. We ran a couple of quarry schools before that. Then we jugged the car the first night. It was on its side the first night we had it out.
I remember that.
And then Bruce Douglas said that he had a spare axle, and it turned out it was the wrong axle. So we were running, and it was like bottoming the shocks out the whole time. We were running it not knowing that it was.
Oh, boy. Yeah,
and finally figured that out like 3 or 4 races ago, so
wow,
got that all done.
Do you have a favorite track yet, Connor?
I think my favorite track's probably Bakersfield. They haven't been solid there, but I really like that track.
Boy,
nice.
that's a crowd favorite, Bakersfield, man. We're gonna have to get with Scott and let him know that. But yeah, that's a crowd favorite. That's really a nice track. You got that groove from the top to the bottom. You just got to watch out for that turn 2 wall. It kind of sticks out there a little bit. You know, if you're running up there on the top anyways.
So what's the difference between that Bakersfield track and your local track there in Ventura?
Oh, Bakersfield's so much bigger and so much faster. Ventura, I mean, it's kind of chaotic over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can be.
Behind the wrong guys, it can be crazy.
Yeah.
But the weather's always a lot better over there.
Yeah, the weather's nice out there, though.
Oh, it's beautiful, man.
Nice. And is Ventura a little bit flatter, or?
Yeah, it has a little bit of bank.
Yeah.
The gym just took most of it out, though. I'm pretty sure.
Oh yeah.
That's what I heard he did. So.
Wow.
Well, being the young driver that you are in the CLS, kind of thinking back, what's the best advice that you could give to somebody that's looking to start out? Someone of your age, what advice would you give to that person?
Yeah, probably just, I mean, everyone says it, but the smooth is fast. That's how you get it done. So that's just being consistent. And I mean, you can run the fastest lap and it doesn't matter because the other person could have a faster 20, 25, whatever the race is. So.
Yeah.
Consistency. Yeah. The key to success is consistency. Someone told me that when I was younger as well. And I didn't really quite understand what they were talking about. I was probably a few years younger than you. And when I was told that, I was like, oh, you do the same thing over and over again. And that's what consistency is. I get it. I get it.
Yeah, putting it all together.
Yeah. And then, the difference between consistency and insanity.
Yeah. Big difference there. Big difference for sure.
Yeah. Insanity, they say, is the doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, there's a lot of insanity in dirt track racing for sure.
There we go.
I mean, oh man, shoot, yeah. There's a lot of guys push the envelope, and there's a lot. I mean, I don't know why we do what we do, anyways. I mean, it's a lot of work. I mean, it's like having a second, not only a second job, but a second and a third job. I mean, it's constantly working on the car, setups, reviewing what you did last time, what do you need to do to improve, and things like that.
Connor, they got you turning wrenches on that car too?
No, not really. Just kind of sit there and look pretty a little bit, but
man,
I do a little bit.
Yeah, shoot, that's I think you've got the same job that AJ's got. Yeah, but I don't mind it. I love racing with AJ, and he's been a good friend and a good driver for us. It was a good fit, so I don't mind it one bit.
Yeah,
Connor,
sure, he's a good driver.
Nice. Connor, you just recently won your first Lightning Sprint main event there in Chico.
Yeah.
Right. So tell us, what were you thinking when you took the white flag with one lap to go, while leading, knowing that there was not a lot, there wasn't a heavy hitter there, driver behind you. So
there was a bunch of heavy hitters.
Oh, there was.
Oh yeah.
Oh, there is. Oh, there was. Yeah.
Yeah, all the heavy hitters were behind him. Yeah.
What were you thinking, man? What was going on in your head?
Well, I mean, I thought I was rolling pretty good, but there was a couple of lap cars in front of me, and I really just didn't want to catch them. I wanted just to kind of hang back there a little bit and try to stay out of just whatever was going to happen. And I mean, we did, but almost got ran down there at the end.
Yeah. Will Brown, he was coming for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, let me ask you this: where's that trophy sitting at right now?
Oh, I didn't get one. I wish I did. That would be pretty cool, but we didn't get one.
No big check or nothing?
Oh, I haven't seen the check
yet.
yet.
We're gonna have to.
Let's hope it's big.
Yeah, we're gonna have to find out about that. We're gonna have to get a hold of Greg Dennett and John Rockstar for that and see what's going on there for sure. We'll get that figured out. You know.
You can talk to your grandpa too and find out where the heck that check is.
Well, no. So the big check is it's a cardboard, like a 2x4 or whatever, check. It's not an actual
big check.
So
it's like a big cardboard check with $4 written on it or something like that.
Well, it just has a lot of the sponsors and stuff like that on it. But yeah, shoot, you should come out of there with a little bit of cash though, winning that thing. I would think you should come out of there. So since you've been running with CLS and BCRA, is there one driver that you like to race against, or somebody that you watch, either standing at the fence or in the cars, or somebody that you look to see how they're doing?
Yeah. Well, like me and Will just had a really good race, so that was fun. But I mean, Cody and I, he's pretty damn consistent, so he knows what he's doing. I watch him, see what he's doing most time. Bobby McNovich, same thing with him. So just a lot of the really smooth guys. AJ's good. I like watching AJ a lot when he's running. Yeah,
we haven't been running a whole lot. His schedule's been kind of tied up a little bit, and then we put James Turnbull in the car, and we're looking to get James back in it here pretty quick also. We had a race coming up here pretty soon. We're going to be going back with James. I think he'll be a good fit for us also as well.
Yeah. So the cool thing about that, Connor, is that racing with some of these guys, some of them, probably got you tied up with age, if you will, or even beat you in age, and life experience. But that every time you get out there on that track, you got just as much opportunity to take that checkered flag as the next guy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, it's all set up, and I mean, there is a little bit of luck involved. You got to have some good racing luck, because you get held up behind another car or taken out by an incident or something like that. But you got to have a little bit of luck.
But he's got the luck. It's the luck of the Connor name.
Yeah,
he carries the Connor name.
Yeah.
Does any of that play in your head a little bit? Get in your head, younger guys, older guys, and I say that from my own experience, because oftentimes in my past and current life, I had given credit where credit wasn't. It was due, because they had people had done the experience, but at the end of the day, the guy that was out there next to me doing the same thing I was doing, he woke up and put his pants on the same way I did, one leg at a time. And so is there any time, do you ever get a little, does that ever get in your head, like, I'm not worthy, or some version of that, because of your age, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't say it does. I think
good.
All the younger guys can run just as good as all the guys who've been doing it for a little bit longer. So
yeah. Yep. That's me, that old guy that's like, oh man, what am I doing this for?
Right.
That's me. It's like, oh, these young guys, I have a hard time keeping up with them.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that, Connor. That's one thing in life that is, I would say, if there's anything that has held me back a time or two, is it was my own brain, if you will. Tony Robbins talks about that being like the 2,000-year-old brain, or a working mechanism that kind of keeps us back. It's that self-talk that so any chance that I get that, to meet someone and talk to someone that kind of doesn't let that run their show, I'm here with standing ovation, thanking, if you will, that, go get it, you know what I mean? Like, don't let that, it's only a thought, if you will.
Yeah, man, I was happy for you seeing that 57 car come across that finish line there. I mean, I thought, wow, good for him, man. Congratulations on that. That's a tough feat. I mean, there's so many cars that can win in these lightning sprint races. I mean, it's not just the CLS, but it's BCRA, all the Midwest guys, the Washington guys. I don't know if you've been introduced to them yet, but if you're going to go run Cal Cup, you will be, and they are all very, very fast.
Yeah.
Nice. So, Connor, we've been kind of breaking it down for everybody like this, but I'm going to break it down to you one time, if you will. Mm-hmm. So, Connor, you're in the main event. You're under a caution with 10 laps to go. Do you want to be leading it, or do you want to be running second?
Ooh. I mean, it does depend on the track somewhat, if it's one lane, and, but I mean, last weekend I was second on that restart and I got it. So I think second might be a little bit more of an advantage, though, because you could see you're really pulling him in, or he's faster than you. So
yeah,
I think I'd probably rather be second.
Yeah, we've been having a lot of those. A lot of the guys like being in that catbird seat. Right. They like running second. Push that guy on the front. To make a mistake and swoop in on him on the bottom or something, or go around him on the top.
Go ahead, make my day, sucker.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we're coming to the end here, Connor, and I just wanted to give you the opportunity to, at this point in the show, to give any thanks to any sponsors or any of your crew members or anybody you want to thank for helping you. Let's hear the rundown.
Yeah, for sure. Of course, my grandpa. None of it would even be possible without him.
What's his name?
And Keith Speir.
Keith Speir. Thank you, Keith.
Yeah, then Steve Day, he helps my grandpa all the time with the car. Then, of course, Bruce Douglas, Mike Nye, Cody Nye, Corey, they've all been really good teachers and just helping me out. But then Channel Ons for covering SoCal Vapor Blast, Morton Construction, and Maxwell Industries.
Nice.
Awesome.
That's it.
Awesome.
Yeah, sounds like a good group of sponsors and crew members you got put together there.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And don't forget yourself, man. You bring in that head to the game, if you will.
Yeah.
Sometimes if you can't keep your head in it, you're out of it.
Yeah, that's for sure. That's for sure.
So, Cody, I just wanted to thank you again for taking the for taking the opportunity to call us. He just called me out on
I called him out on that one.
The forbidden word, if you will. Yeah, I just want to thank you for, for taking the time to call us today. We definitely much appreciate you and sharing, your experiences with us. Even though you're the youngest driver we've ever had, just breaking it down and laying it down for maybe that next driver that's maybe less 14 years old, if you will.
Yeah, it was a great interview. Thanks again for calling in. It was a good time.
Yeah
for sure. Thank you guys for having me.
You bet.
Yes, Connor, have a good one and stay cool.
You too, guys.
All right, thank you.
Bye-bye. Awesome. 15 years old, Mike.
So if you look back at it, Dan is right up there with Chuck Erickson, because I think Chuck was 61 too, wasn't he?
Yes.
61 or 62, somewhere in there.
Right in there.
So I didn't know that, but I mean, it was good scheduling tonight. A veteran driver and a young gun, so to speak, coming into the sport. So it's good to get that. Next week we're going to be doing the same thing. We're going to be bouncing back over to the East Coast for a little bit, so to speak, kind of over there Midwest, I guess. And but we've got a couple good drivers lined up for next week, and that'll be show number 10. And these things will be
on and cracking here pretty soon.
Yeah, they'll be cracking.
So the one thing that I did notice kind of took Wayne to, I think, passing judgment on anybody here. But I've been in real estate for 19 years, and I would say that probably the first, 12 years, if you will, I have done it all by myself, just kind of like, all by myself, I want to be, and so with that, I mean, I'm talking about like contracts, disclosures, all the paperwork,
right.
And then making the phone calls, I've done it by myself, for like I said, about the first 10 or 12 years, if you will. And then I had an assistant that I had been able to just unthink about it and just have hire somebody to work for me, no matter what they got paid, if you will.
Yeah, piled the load on them.
And so in doing that, I've had some great people work for me over the years. None of them, I would say that the first one was the one that kind of, broke it out, if you will, and handled it for me, if you will. And when she left, or quit working for me, that's when I figured out, I'm like, holy smokes, I just kind of appreciated how much she did for me. And it kind of did me a disservice to put it all on her and to not do it myself or do any of it myself. And where I'm going with that is some busting those knuckles, if you will, on that motor. So I think that, I hope that if Connor gets a point to get in there and Grandpa lets him, turn some wrenches.
Oh, I'm sure he will.
His advantage.
I'm sure he will. There's not a doubt in my mind. Right now, I mean, it's probably just a little learning curve. I mean, like for all of us, but I'm sure that's coming.
Yes.
I'm sure that's coming.
And the torque wrench, I never find out what a torque wrench was till about 10 or 12 years ago myself.
Yeah, I don't know that I have it. Yeah, I think I've got I've got one. It's kind of stashed in the trailer somewhere, but
right.
Yeah, usually everything is oil filled tight. It's make it tight and then take it another half round.
Right.
So to speak.
Snipe and a half.
Yeah. You want it to be tight. The bad thing about it is, I think some things are probably over torqued, over tight.
Right.
But I mean, that's the nature. You second guess yourself. Oh, I'm going to hit it one more time and things like that. But yeah, man, today, 2 good callers. Really
Great callers, man. And we're at the end of number 9, Mike.
Yeah, this is it.
Man, it's like forcing us to move forward.
Yeah.
Little. Wow.
Yeah, so once we get these under our belts, I mean, we got some other things coming up where we're going to be doing a little bit of video and things like that. So, I mean, that's something else we got to get figured out. And
yes. We're going to have to start wearing clothes to these things again.
Yeah, shoot, yeah.
Holy smokes.
Yeah, well, in Bakersfield, it's so hot right now, man.
Hotter than hello, how are you?
Yeah, it's man, I think this weekend is supposed to be like, or Monday, I think it's going to be 111. I think over the weekend's going to be 108, 109 or something like that. I mean, that's just.
I'm going to start probably this next weekend doing my weight loss program. And that's basically where I just sit outside in a chair and with no shirt on and just sweat it out. I'm looking to lose 20 pounds that way.
Well, good for you. I'm not. I'm going to be in the house where it's like 71.
71.
Both air conditioners running and the wife fanning me with a fan or something, a newspaper.
Right.
Yeah.
Palm leaf.
You know how that's going. You know how that's going to work. But.
Yes. All right, Mike. Well, here we are at the end of number 9, if you will. Man, thank you again.
Yep. Thank you, Bill. I mean,
bet.
without you in the studio, it wouldn't be possible to do this. I mean, I appreciate the opportunity, and like I say, we'll see where this goes.
Here we go. See ya.
All right.